And we have breaking news tonight in the Idaho murder case. According to new unsealed filings in the gruesome Idaho murders, one of the two surviving roommates came face to face with the killer, who was wearing a black mask, in the early hours of November the 13th, before the roommate then locked herself in a room. Then nearly 8 hours later, a call was placed to police to report the murders, and police also revealed that DNA left on a leather knife sheath led them to the suspect. That's Bryan Kohberger. According to the probable cause affidavit, Kohberger cased the crime scene, was in and around the area and the house at least a dozen times. And today, Kohberger appeared in an Idaho courtroom. He was ordered held rightly without bail. Here with more, co-host of The Five, Judge Jeanine Pirro. I know you as well as anyone, and we've been friends a long time, and your passion for children, and in this case, college kids, is second to none. This drove your time as a DA. So what do you make of today's developments?
Well, you know, what's interesting about this case is that this seems to be exactly what people alleged in the beginning, but we weren't sure of. This was a targeted attack. We know that there were 12 times that this guy, Kohberger, was within the cell tower area. We don't know what that distance is just yet, of the victims' homes. We also know that the next day at 9 a.m., Kohberger returned to the scene of the crime before the crime was even reported. That is just classic in terms of someone who is studying criminology. And we know ahead of time, before I get into the evidence, Sean, is that on Reddit, he put something out saying, you know, I'm studying for my PhD in criminology. If you're a criminal, what did you think? How did it feel? He was collecting all of this information. And so we've got him casing, targeting this home. We've got him returning to the scene of the crime. And what we've got is an eyewitness. Now, the eyewitness who was in the home that evening said she heard crying, said she thought she heard, you know, someone say there's someone here. And she opens her door, Sean, 3 times. The third time, she actually sees a male, 5'10" or taller. He's 6 feet tall, and he's got bushy eyebrows. He's got a mask on. He's dressed all in black. Imagine her fear. And she had heard a male say earlier, "It's okay. You're going to be okay. I'm not going to hurt you." Obviously, he ended up killing the fourth victim at that point. He walks right by her. She is in a frozen, shocked state. His footprint in blood, as I predicted, is on the floor in front of her room, showing how he was exiting the home. Now, it took a really smart cop and someone who was familiar with the area to say, now that we know this Elantra is one of the cars in question, if they leave in this direction based upon surveillance of a lot of the residences and businesses, then they're probably going to Washington State. You put it all together. These cops were genius. And you know what? They kept their mouths shut. They didn't care what the public was saying. They didn't care they were being called the Keystone Cops. They were on it, and they were on it. Idaho State Police were in that home on November 13th, the day the case was reported. And, of course, the cross-country trip. Now, we know that the genealogical DNA was used first. That's not as good as the real DNA. There was a sheath for the knife that was used, and on the button of that sheath is male DNA, which they matched to the father's garbage. And we can do that in law enforcement. But now I guarantee you they have one-on-one DNA of Bryan Kohberger with the victim, which is 1 in a trillion. So you've got to explain why your forensic DNA is there. Now, I want to say one more thing. I think that because the sheath is in the room with the 2 young girls who were in bed together, I think it was Kaylee and Madison, that maybe they were his first victims, because he would have taken the knife and taken it out of the sheath in that bedroom. And then it was, I believe, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapman. Apparently, Xana was out of the bed. So, you know, there was some fighting there. They found her body not in bed, but Ethan's body was in the bed. The bottom line here is you've got the evidence, you've got law enforcement at its best, state, local, federal, and you've got a psycho. But don't misunderstand me. There's no insanity defense here. This guy's too smart for that, and he is facing the death penalty.
Well, the last thing I would say, and I agree with your comments about the police, everybody was saying, yeah, the Keystone Cops, oh, they're not on it. They were all over it.
No.
One other thing, the location data for Kohberger's phone, it actually went dead at 2:47 a.m. The night of the murders, and it came back on at 4:48 a.m. on State Highway 95 south of Moscow, Idaho. So obviously that was done on purpose. Judge, honestly, you just nailed this case. And to the cops and the law enforcement, and the FBI that sometimes earn our criticism, when they do a great job, we're lucky to have them.
God bless them.
Amen. I agree. They all.
We are so lucky to have them. And you're right. He turned off that phone because he was smart enough to understand it would implicate him. This guy is as smart as they come.
Listen,
but not
my kids will shut off their phone if they're out later than they want me to know. I understand that trick. But anyway,
take care,
Judge,
Sean.
we appreciate it as always.